Yeah. Yeah. Guess who came back with a large fucking fist to eat the Brooklyn blast furnace? I brought your ugly bitch with me. Your shit is sus. Ain't nobody trying to hear you talk. When Jimmy's on the mic, they take your whack shit and turn it off. It's real life, not them stories that you punks say. He made it out alive, and he's relatively unscathed. So subscribe to the podcast and share the post and tell your stupid friends to do the same. You heard it here from Coast.
Right. Another episode of the Brooklyn Blast Furnace podcast. Lately, I feel like I'm almost repeating myself the last several episodes because I'm going to say the last like 4 or 5 people are people that I honestly never thought that I would have the opportunity to bullshit with on this. And you're right in that same category. So I appreciate your time, bro. So if anybody doesn't know, they need to know. It's the legendary artist and musician. I do that all the time to make people uncomfortable. Craig Holloway. I mean, your resume is ridiculous. We can get into the bands and all the artwork and the album covers and all of that stuff. And obviously horror movies because your setup is cool back there. And you can't really see what I have, but in my living room, I have a ton of stuff and I have stuff tucked away. You know, collectible figures. People think I'm like 10 years old still because I have horror figures, but I don't care. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great.
Awesome.
You see that Living Dead right there in the back. That's cool.
Yeah, it's some kind of variant thing that I got from somewhere. I don't know, my little sick of it all thing. I have
very cool.
All kinds of shit all over the place. My hallway, when you first walk into my apartment, I have like a 15-foot long hallway, and it's nothing but, I mean, I'm very OCD when it comes to certain things where everything has to be super even and lined up right. I have a lot of stuff, but it doesn't look like I have a lot of stuff because it's not cluttered. Everything has its own place. But there's like, I'm gonna say there's probably about 60 11 by 17 picture frames, completely
really
all movies, horror movies, fucking band shit. Yeah, like 11 by 17. Like,
that's cool.
Band flyer photos, horror movies, everything. Yeah, man. I used to go to horror conventions all the time, and I have to start going back because I fell off the last like 2 years or so. But I got to start going back. One of my most favorite things to do several years ago was go to horror conventions.
Nice.
Yeah, so I had like doing that stuff, like going to all those horror conventions. People are listening and watching. If you go back, it's not on YouTube, but the audio is still there. There's a whole bunch of horror people that I've had on, like almost the entire. I mean, I had the Hitchhiker, I had Ed Neal on, which was batshit crazy. He's the coolest guy. He sent me a I know you like collectible stuff, so we can talk about this shit.
Yeah.
He sent me. It's the same exact year, make, and model. Obviously not screen used, but the straight razor that he uses in the van when he cuts his hand and shit, and he autographed it the same exact one. It's so old and rusty and shit. Yeah, which is cool. But I had him and the woman who played Pam, Terry McMinn. I had John Dugan who played the grandfather.
Wow, I met him.
Yeah, man. I had Tom Matthews. I had Tony Moran. I had Jesus Christ. I had a bunch of Friday the 13th people. Like Darcy DeMoss was on, who was cool as shit. From Nikki from Part 6. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Because I felt like I was having the same conversation with different people, just always talking about, yeah, you know, Cro-Mag's Age of Quarrel is a great fucking bit. You know, it's like the same thing almost.
Yeah.
So I was like, what am I doing? I'm like, you know what? Let me just see if I can get some of these people on. Some of the coolest people ever.
Very cool. Yeah, widens your audience.
Yeah. Plus, I was like, I don't make money doing this stuff. I just like to just bullshit with people. So it's like, there's other things that I like besides music. Like grew up on horror movies. You know what I mean? So when I go to these things, like, why not ask? And 9 times out of 10, they were cool. There was a couple that were like, yeah, I kind of don't do that stuff. One guy wanted like $1,000 for me to have him on. I'm like,
oh wow.
I'm like, dude, you're not fucking Al Pacino, bro. You know what I mean? This is some dude. Like, I won't mention names, but I was like, yeah, okay. But yeah. So what's been going on, bro?
Oh, same old, keeping busy. Staying out of trouble, playing some music here and there when I get the opportunity. I can't complain. Life's good.
Yeah. So like, with what's the status before we go into Coldest Life and other things? What's the status of Blunt Force Trauma?
Well, unfortunately, Alan, also known as Slaytove, the guitar player, he passed away. Um,
Uh,
we were in a band called Confused, based out of San Antonio, Southern Texas, like McAllen, playing with our buddy Al, who sings, and Arno, the drummer. And it's, like 80s thrash, punk, hardcore, fast songs,
yeah.
catchy, a lot of fun to play.
Yeah.
And we
I'm,
were
I'm
actually,
personally I'm personally familiar with the music. So
oh, okay,
yeah,
cool,
of
very
course.
cool.
Yeah, of course, man.
And we were doing the Texas leg for opening up for Agnostic Front. And
Mm.
they took us out. We had like 5 shows, and we were in the middle of the tour. Like the third show just happened in Corpus, and I drove Alan home, and we were supposed to play San Antonio the very next day. And Alan was super reliable, but he was like a no show, and we kind of panicked a little bit at the gig. Roger was there, of course, and all the guys, and he had some of the gear, and we're like, oh, what's going on? So I called some of his friends that were still in Austin area where he lives, and I asked them to do a well check. And worst case scenario, they found him. He had died like a couple hours after I had dropped him off. It was real sad. So that took a lot of flavor out of my mouth for wanting to play any music. Like I love the guy. He's like a brother to me. So you'd go somewhere and you see something remind you of him. It's just like a total downer. And then the band just kind of like fell apart. Although the band was stopped at that time. They were taking a hiatus, as bands do. And we were doing stuff that we enjoyed, like playing and confused. And we had our own band going. It was called Numbskull. And he was busy jamming, but it was just a misfortunate, situation. It just took years and years and years just to kind of get my head right because
Yeah.
it was a tough loss.
Yeah. Damn. That sucks, man. I'm sorry to
Yeah.
hear that. Fuck. Well, I mean, to make a happier, segue, I mean, I know that I can speak for myself, and I'm sure I can speak for a lot of people that we were all super happy that Jeff decided to do the whole coldest life thing all over again. And
Yeah, for sure.
that's some shit that like a lot of people probably honestly thought that would never happen again. You know, there were so many
Yeah.
different incarnations of the band and stuff like that, but to have Jeff back at vocals, I mean, that's what do you I mean, it's
Yeah, that's
insane.
key.
Yeah. So anything coming up on the horizon for Coldest Life that you could talk about?
Yeah, we're booked to play the Revolution Fest, but that's not until November next year. And
Mm.
that's in Eindhoven. And I guess tickets are already pre-sale tickets are already sold out, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, man.
It's a one-off exclusive.
That's awesome though. Like the last one just ended. It was like Biohazard headline that, and that shit was sold
Exactly.
out in a heartbeat, man. What a crazy line of AF. And by the way, we're on podcast time. This won't come out for a few more days, but happy 69th birthday today to
Oh,
fucking
yeah,
Vinny Stigma.
for sure, right?
Yo,
Unbelievable.
man, who's better than Vinny? Nobody is. And every time I see him, he just has like the spirit of like this 25-year-old guy.
True.
It's so true. It's like I guess people who don't know him. I mean, if you ever met the guy, you would feel like he treats you like he knew you for his whole life. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
he's so kind.
Just such a unique, awesome, fun. I look at him and I just start laughing. I just smile, and it's just like it'll be bullshit. And it's just Vinny's the best. So happy 69th revolution around the sun to the Godfather of
Yeah,
Harlem.
he's a big inspiration. You don't see too many people that look that happy ever. And he's just
Yeah.
doing what he loves, and he loves hanging out with people and playing music, performing. He's quite the entertainer. He's a great guy. Very funny too.
Hilarious.
Hilarious.
Like he just like there's a couple of people where I just look at them and I just start laughing. Like I don't even have to say anything. I just look and I just start laughing, and then the banter starts, and it's the whole yeah,
Yeah.
great dude, man, great guy. So you're in Austin, Texas. obviously originally from Detroit. So now,
Correct.
what was your? I could be wrong because I do know several bands that you were in way back in the day. Like before Full Circle, was there anything before that?
No, that was the
That was your first
Ground
one.
Zero. That was the first one. Yeah.
Nice. And
Sure.
when did you? How did that come about?
Oh well, like everybody else, tape trading. Me and my buddies were skaters. I couldn't really skate. I was more of a poser, but I had a
I couldn't
skateboard.
skate. I can't skate for shit.
I can fall
Can't
off my
skate for
skateboard pretty good.
nothing.
And we just thought, wow, this music's really cool. It's different. It seemed accessible as far as being in a band, and it wasn't like what we're used to hearing on the radio. So
Right.
I remember me and my buddy Jeff were like, let's start a band. Like, okay, let's do it. And it's like, okay, I have bigger hands or I'm taller, so my arms are longer. I'll play bass and you play
Is
guitar.
that how it happened? Just like that? That's how you became a bass player?
Yeah, pretty much. And I remember
Awesome.
we were we had the yellow pages and we're looking and we're calling all the music stores and we're like, hey, do you sell bass guitars? Yeah. What's the cheapest one you have? Like,
Yeah.
$100. All right. So save up and then I get my $100 bass. And I think he might have got a guitar from a buddy, but it was months before we figured out that we had to play the same thing to make it sound good. It was a mess, but it was fun.
Of course. What was like the music? Did you grow up like in a musical household, or what was like the punk rock? Well, I mean, what year was that? 92, 90? That was
No, this is more like 86
late.
probably.
Oh,
80,
okay.
85, 86. Yeah,
So
it
what
was
was the
well
Detroit scene like? Like, what were you hearing on the radio that you
on the
wanted to
radio.
play? Yeah, or like what was like the scene that you wanted to play? That kind of stuff.
Oh, well, there's a couple really cool clubs. They had the Freezer, the Hungry Brain, and they had the Greystone. And I was a little bit too young to get into the Hungry Brain or the Freezer. You heard legendary shows were there, but I
Yeah.
did manage to get to the Greystone. Once I had my driver's license, I was off. I was on an adventure. I didn't have a older brother or a cool older neighbor that could take me to shows. So as soon as I got 16, I was, on my way journeying, doing the adventure stuff. And I would just go to the Greystone. It was a real cool place in Dearborn, real sketchy neighborhood, like a lot of areas.
Yeah.
And they would have national bands come play, and I wouldn't even know who was playing. Sometimes I'd just go, and then when I was paying for admission, I go, "Who's playing tonight?"
Yeah.
And they would just tell me. It was just like mind blowing. And then when you're that age and you see people doing that, it's like real impressionable. And I was dating a girl in high school. She was younger than me, but she was already going to shows, so she was pretty hip.
Yeah.
And she took me there, and we had a lot of fun, and it was a great time. Very impressionable. And then from there, Greystone closed down, and then I spent a lot of time at Blondie's. I'm sure you heard of Blondie's.
I've heard of
That
it.
was
Yeah.
like our equivalent to like CB's, and I
Gotcha.
was there all the time. And that was pretty close to where I lived. Actually, if I wanted to, I could ride my bike there. It's probably only within about 5 miles, I'd say, from where my dad lived.
Okay.
Saw tons of shows there, and
Yeah.
that's where I first played on stage too, with Full Circle and a lot of the other bands I've been in. And
Ricochet and
yeah, Detroit has a great scene, lots of fantastic bands. I won't name them all because I'll forget some,
of course.
but some that I remember are Heresy, Disgust, and SBLC, and all
Yeah, I hear
Almighty
a
Lord
lot about
Jackson Death.
Heresy too. I hear a lot about them. Rat Bones always talks about Heresy. That's like his
Yeah,
favorite band. I can see.
Underrated for sure. Underrated.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're great.
yeah, because like the lore about like I'm sure it's people have the same feeling as me who are not in New York City. And I mean, they hear about CB's and L'Amour's and these places, and there's a mystique about them if you've never been there or you're not from the city. I feel, and to me, it's like, yeah, it's CB's. I was there all the time. It was L'Amour's. I saw legendary bands there, but at the time, you're not really realizing it because you're young, and it's like, oh, the Cro-Mags again are playing, and Biohazard's first album just came out, and they're like almost like the house band. You know what I mean?
Right.
So all that kind of stuff. So like, but for me, Detroit is like that for me. I've never been to Detroit. I've been to Michigan once, and that was on a job. It was like it wasn't even Detroit. It was like Lansing, I think.
Okay.
But I'm looking forward to when Hate Incorporated plays, because Beast had mentioned that at some point I don't know, maybe at the springtime or something they might play. I'll drive up to Detroit to go and check you
Oh,
guys
cool.
out. 100%. I've always wanted to go, but I never really had like that reason or that push to go. Like, you know what I mean? Because
Right.
I know a couple of guys up there, but like it's not like a vacation destination where I would go. You know what I mean? But I would definitely make like a weekend out of it and do that. But I say all that just to say that Detroit has that mystique and that lore about it that I find fascinating because we hear all these stories of how crazy, and there was that trailer of that documentary that never came out that Richie from Wisdom and Change was going to do. You know, like that shit. I don't know how, but I know I'm sure a lot of people won't talk. A lot of people are gone to have that all happen. But like Detroit fascinates me, so that's why like bands like Heresy and Blondies, like you said, Blondies is like CB's. Like I would have loved to have gone to Blondies like in the heyday. Like
Yeah, you would have loved it.
I'm sure I would have. So like that stuff like that fascinates me for whatever reason. I have no idea why, but that's why like that old gritty, burnt out Detroit. It kind of reminiscent of like the burnt out Lower East Side. There's kind of like a compare. You know, you can compare it, I guess, but it was fucking rough as far as what I hear. So Blondies and all these old school bands, it must have been insane. Like you must have seen crazy shit, especially back in the late 80s and early 90s around that entire scene, no?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try not to miss any shows. There's a few I miss, and one of them that I really regret was Crumb Suckers. Sometimes I got to the point where, not to sound like a celebrity or anything like that, because I wasn't, but Roosevelt would throw me a bone once in a while and he would let me in for free. He was the owner.
Yeah.
And I was desperate to see the Crumb Suckers, but he said, no dice. No, you no pay, you get out of here, basically. Like,
really?
Yeah. It wasn't a far drive, but I was like so disappointed. And to this day, I was so upset with myself because I didn't bring enough money to see the Crumb Suckers.
And he just didn't like, you didn't sneak in somehow.
No, maybe, I don't know. Maybe he's having a bad night, but yeah. No, when I say I got in, I got into maybe one or two shows if I'm lucky. But because I would draw flyers and I would promote shows and stuff like that. But yeah, that's one that I missed. I mean, there's a handful of shows that I've missed, but that's one that really etched in my brain that I'll take to my grave.
That's the one
That's one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, there's I have that one show too. It was at L'Amour's. I don't know. I have no idea why I didn't go. No idea. But it was called Negative Night. And it was this band Toxemia who opened, but then it was Biohazard, Sheer Terror, Carnivore at L'Amour's.
oof.
And I don't know what I was doing or where the hell I was, but I did not go to that show. And if anyone ever asks me, what's the show that you regret missing? It's 100% that show.
There's got to be at least one or two, right?
Oh, there's
Can't make them all.
Yeah. Yeah. Shit, man. So now you just mentioned that, you know, you started drawing flyers. I mean, I'm gonna guess and say that like your drawing and your love for drawing started when you were like a little kid, probably, right? Before music.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Was it inspired by horror movies and shit?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I like to draw. I like, in elementary, I'm going back to like first, second grade, even kindergarten, even maybe I can remember before even going to grade school.
Yeah.
But I always like to draw, and that really sparked it. There was a weekend show here in Detroit. It was called Sir Graves Ghastly, and he would host shows like Frankenstein, mostly those old Universal monster horror movies.
Sure.
And in the middle of the movie, he would dress up as Dracula, and he had this shtick. It was really cool. And he'd break away to his like dungeon, his ghoulery, and he would show you submissions that kids like me would draw and send to him, like pictures of Frankenstein or the Mummy. And I would look at that wall, and I was like, "Holy crap!" It was so inspirational. I wanted to be, on that wall, but I never did send anything in. But I would draw those monsters after every movie, and just incessantly. And I asked my mom, "Hey, what do you want me to draw?" Because I ran out of ideas. She said, "Oh, just draw me a nice flower." Okay, Incredible Melting Man, you got it.
Nice.
Stuff like that. Everything I drew was kind of like horrific.
Yeah.
Not intentionally though. Sometimes it kind of backfired on me. I actually got a job at an agency, and there was an art creative there. He was a copywriter, and he told me out of the blue, he goes, "No, you can make an apple look evil." Like, I'm not even trying to do that, but I guess that's kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Unintentional.
An apple look evil. That's cool.
Whatever you do, don't ask me to draw you or your babies. It's like
Yeah, I don't do that kind
Walking
of stuff.
Dead
Yeah, you want them to
creatures.
be dead. That's true. I mean, listen, I like to draw. I don't draw anymore for whatever reason, but I was big into drawing way back in the day. And I remember too in kindergarten, I'm drawing morbid shit. Like I'm just drawing like graveyards and shit like that in like kindergarten. I remember that vividly, vividly, all the time. And it's probably, I think it all traces back to, I think the jump off point for me into the whole horror movie thing and all the serial killer shit was watching Helter Skelter on TV
Oh, really?
with
Wow.
Manson. Yeah, I remember that. I remember watching that. I think I was already, I don't know, wired to like weird, evil, crazy shit. And I looked at the TV guide and I saw the ad for it. I had no idea. Dude, I'm like 6 years old, maybe 7. And I had no idea who Charles Manson was at the time.
Right.
This ad in the TV guide for Helter Skelter coming on TV. I got into an argument with my sister because we had 2 TVs in the house. One was downstairs, and my parents had a 12-inch black and white in their room. But I wanted to watch the Helter Skelter on the big TV, and she wanted to watch some stupid fucking like Brady Bunch special.
Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was like the Brady Bunch, and I'm like, so I got into a crazy fight with her. And being my mother's son, and I was the younger one, my sister got the black and white, and I watched Helter Skelter sitting there Indian style watching it, and I was wrapped up from there on. So yeah, it was
Wow.
like that, and then next thing you know, it was just all horror movies, and that was it. So I think all my drawing and all the way I do some certain things, it's all horror,
That's cool.
serial
Yep.
killer, and cult leader inspired. Yeah, man. That's why if you listen to the one with Beast, I talk about like that whole Fraternal Order of Felons, especially that record. It's like all those snippets from Helter Skelter with all the Manson stuff. Like the music itself was awesome, but that little was like an added touch that I'm like, yo, like this completes the whole package of everything that I'm
Yep.
wanting to listen to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it goes well together. That's for sure.
yeah, absolutely. And plus, Daryl, rest in peace, Daryl. He did all the Manson stuff like that. All that's inspired by Manson. So,
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Yeah,
So,
he's a pretty intense guy. He had a
what's
big
that?
Charles. He was a pretty intense dude. He had a
Yeah,
big Charles Manson portrait on his shoulder.
yeah,
I was like, Alex,
yeah.
he's pretty,
I
pretty
actually
scary
have
dude.
I have one. I have a Charles Manson portrait, but it's terrible. It's like you learn your lesson. It's like don't go to don't get a portrait by a tattoo guy that doesn't do portraits. Yeah, it's really bad. I want to like it's like on my leg, but I could like easily like make it into like a zombie or something. I showed somebody. They were like, "Who is that?" And before I said Charles Manson, they were like, "Who is that?" Like Ulysses S. Grant or something like that. I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "It's really that bad?" I was like, "Yeah, it's terrible." Yeah, it was my
Well,
attempt.
that's funny. I listened to your interview with Tom, and he brought up the Pull His Life demo, and I had the Brick and the Log Guy, and I had drawn the Charles Manson tattoo that Daryl had,
Yeah.
but my version it looked more like Gabe Kaplan from Welcome Back, Horror. I was like, gotta get rid of that.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's why I took it off. It didn't look like him. Only I knew
Like
what it was
Mr.
supposed to be.
Connor.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh shit. Yeah, man. So it's like, so you getting old, like you obviously you did well, not obviously. Some people don't know. I do though, but you did like the demo cover for the first Cold as Life, Breaking the Law, all that stuff. Because I was actually. I never really creeped too much on your Facebook page, but over the last couple of days, I'm going like deep into your albums of like the old school pen and ink stuff that you did. It's like, damn, dude, like you did a lot more than I don't even say realize because I wasn't even thinking that way. But like you have a lot of really cool old archives in there that I was just unaware of for whatever reason, you know? And I mean, it's ridiculous from, I mean, album covers for, I mean, you redid like the Negative Approach reissue, didn't you? With the Exorcist fucking face.
Yeah, I did that one. I wish I could have another crack at that one. Not all of them turned out so good. that
Bro.
one I could like to tackle that one again. There's a lot of my
Well, you're
artwork.
not a fan of that?
I was okay with it until I saw some comments on Facebook. They were bashing. I'm like, oh shit, you're right. But yeah,
Really? Well, that's an
kind of.
awesome, that's a great feather in your cap, bro. That's Negative
Yeah.
Approach, bro.
Well, yeah, that's why I want to have another crack at it because I got to do it better.
Yeah.
but maybe I'll get another opportunity.
Yeah. Fucking, it's awesome though. I mean, come on, Negative Approach is like Detroit's agnostic front. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's
for sure, yeah.
yeah.
I've done a DVD cover for them and another. I guess it's an EP, but I think it only came out on a CD.
Yeah. Okay.
It was fun.
Yeah. There's incredible. I mean, Agnostic Front Warriors. I mean, you're one of my favorite ones that you did, and that's not to fucking say anything. All your artwork is incredible, but the Homicidal record,
No,
State of
yeah.
Mind,
Oh,
dude,
cool.
that album cover, I think for some weird reason that shit is crazy. With the dude,
Oh,
like the little kid beat up looking, getting the gun. That's crazy.
yeah.
It's awesome, awesome. Like did Brick by Brick stuff, Murderers Row. I mean, Countless Flyers, obviously. You know what's awesome too? I think is the United Forces compilation with the dudes with saluting.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Awesome. I have
Thank you.
I think it's right here in this trunk right behind me. And if I do still have it, I don't know why I wouldn't have it. I got to get a frame for it because I have like an ad for it, like an 11 by 17 ad for that. I don't know
Oh,
how the
okay.
hell I got it, but I have it.
Okay. Yeah, we sent out like a CDs and a poster for every order.
Yeah, so
So
yeah, I guess maybe that's how I have
that's
it.
cool.
I'm assuming so. Yeah,
What's fu-
man.
what's funny about that homicidal one? Sometimes people would ask me to draw crazy stuff, and I'm all about it. And sometimes I have to step back and go, oh, whoa, whoa. But for that particular one, that's my family. That's me, the guy that gets shot. That's my son Lucas, who's getting the gun, and my wife and my daughter who are like
No
yanking at my
shit.
legs. Yeah, I had everybody pose for that.
Did
Yeah,
you? That's
yeah.
fucking awesome.
So
What?
that's my family, my family portrait.
Really? That's my
Yeah,
family portrait,
you know.
dude. See. I love that little behind the scenes little fun fact shit, bro. I would have thought that.
Yeah, and then Lucas is wearing I think he's wearing a blunt force trauma shirt.
He is.
Yeah. Sometimes I throw
Wow.
bar my shit in there. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, like the Marauder God His Eye album cover is cool. Like, there's so much, man. It's like you go through your stuff and it's just like Flyer, Black and Blue Bowl flyers, all that stuff. It's incredible. The crazy one where it's Agnostic Front and Madball and Josta, and you have like Freddie and Roger like conjoined twins. Crazy, yeah,
Yeah. I got a big poster of it right there on my wall. I'm looking at it.
yeah, man.
Let me
Just
turn the
super
camera around. I don't know
creative.
if you'll be able to see some of my shit, but
Go
I got a
ahead,
whole
man.
wall of stuff. Is it coming out? Can you
Awesome.
see
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's top left on my screen.
it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That stick that Gigi Allen crucified in hell thing is insane too.
Oh, thanks. That they had a contest for the a DVD cover for that
How did you not
years
win?
ago, and I submitted that. It's in the extras on the
Okay.
DVD, but it didn't
Okay.
make the cover.
That's bullshit. Whoever voted on that needs a little talking to because that shit should have been.
Thanks. I think they went with a photograph. It was a good cover though. I remember. But
Okay.
yeah, that's in. At least they put in the extras. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Give you a little credit, hopefully.
Yeah,
Yeah. Good shit. So now what's up? What's going on with I mean, you've been whatever they're playing, you're playing with Hate Incorporated, no?
I am. And Beast contacted me about doing a show, like you said, in spring. So I'm trying to get my ducks in a row and figure out how I'm going to get there. Or hopefully we could maybe add a couple shows because I'll be commuting back and forth from
Yeah.
Texas. But everyone's so busy, you know, it's hard to get our schedules coordinated.
Of course, man. I mean, we're not 18 years old with no
Yeah.
responsibilities, man. You know? But
Yep.
yeah, man, like that shit, man. I think Hate Incorporated is criminally underrated and not talked about nearly as much as they should. That's
Yeah.
just my opinion. I don't know. I mean, like you said, you heard me talking to Beast. That shit
Yeah.
is so grimy and hard. It's like all three
Yeah.
records. It's ridiculous.
Well, I'm hoping that he can get Clockwork Misery out on vinyl. That'd be fantastic.
I'd be right first in line. I'd get that shit in a heartbeat.
That's really underrated album back there.
From beginning to end, that shit is insane. Crazy shit.
Yep.
So who are you doing anything other than Cold as Life when they play or Hate Incorporated as far as music wise?
Yeah, I got some buddies here locally, and we're called Prevenge, like revenge, but with a P.
Okay.
And we just played one show with our new singer, and really optimistic that we're going to get the ball rolling and play some good shows. We just, like I said, getting our schedules coordinated, but it's more, more like when you grew up skating, listening to music, kind of like thrasher style stuff. It's fun. It's got a little influence from punk, hardcore, and of course metal, and it's a lot of fun because the guys are cool and they're pretty funny. So I enjoyed it a lot.
Nice. You gonna put anything out like
Yeah, I think we'll
EP or whatever?
we
Something?
definitely want to at least do a demo,
Yeah.
and it's take it from there. I think nowadays you can do a lot of streaming. You don't have to do the old CD anymore,
Right.
which is fine with me. I would like to just maybe put out vinyl instead.
I
Just
was
jump.
gonna say somebody like you who loves artwork. I mean, vinyl is the thing.
Yeah, add to my collection. That'd be cool.
Yeah, man. So what brought you? How long have you been in? You're in Austin, right?
I'm just outside of Austin and Kyle. I'm about 20 minutes from Austin.
Okay, and you've been there for a while now. What brought you out of Detroit to what made you make that move?
Um, well, in '95, I was just graduate or almost not graduate, but finished college, and I still had like a semester to go. And I had a roommate. His name was Jeff, great guy, and we grew up together. He's the guy I was in full circle with,
Yeah.
and we were just at a point where like, we need to change your pace. Let's do something different. Do you want to go to California? Or do you want to go to New York? Because both had great music scenes. And I'm thinking, well, I would love to go to New York, but I don't know if I could survive in New York because you got to fit everything in your pocket, basically, because it's expensive. And he goes, well, if we go to
Oh,
California, I got a brother that lives in Culver City. We could crash there. I go, sounds like a game plan. So September 95, we drove out to California and stayed with his brother for a couple of months. And then we really didn't, we were both into advertising. We were like aspiring art directors. We had already, started our careers, but he was a little bit farther ahead of me because he had gone to Center for Creative Studies, which is an art school, and they prepared him. He had a portfolio, and he's really good at it. Now it's more like, well, what am I going to do? Oh, shit, I'll do it too if I can. I'll try, but I was not that great at it. So when we took our portfolios out, there was there wasn't really much for me as far as to show him what I could do. I was green, and so I ended up going to Northern California, but he stayed back in L.A. and I went to Berkeley and I lived there and I lived in Oakland for a while. I tried. My goal was to get into San Francisco, but that place was so expensive. Every time there'd be like a room available, you go to check it out, there'd be like 30 people in line ahead of you. It's just overwhelming. So I ended up staying in Oakland, in Berkeley, and then after about a year, I had another friend who she moved out to be an actress. So she kind of invited me back down to Southern California. Went down there, and that's when I discovered I wanted to draw again. I had stopped drawing. I went from trying to create ads to wanting to be an illustrator. So I would go to like comic book stores, trying to get inspired, because I love the artwork.
sure.
And I saw on a bulletin board do storyboards basically. And I'm like, oh, okay. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to back that up.
Okay.
I was at the comic book store, and there was a bulletin for learn how to draw comics. Like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. There's an art class. I'll take it. It was nearby. It was a high school. So when I went to the high school, there's a bunch of people there, and they're like, yeah, we're trying to be comic book artists, but we're also trying to be storyboard artists. Like a storyboard artist, and I knew what that was because in advertising, we would hire storyboard artists if we had ideas for commercials. They would draw them out, kind of like a comic book strip, so you could see visually what the commercial was supposed to look like, kind of like a director's thing.
Yeah.
And I go, I know what that is. Maybe I could try that. And there was like reps here in Venice, that would send you out on jobs. And I go, that's perfect because I wasn't the type of guy that would knock on doors and present myself and try and sell you know, what I could do. So I go, oh, let me contact them. So before I did that, I went and got a film book, like a directorial book. And it basically said, if you want to do storyboards, you should develop a portfolio. And by doing that, get a movie and draw like an action sequence. And I go, okay. So I rented Desperado with Antonio Banderas, and there's a cool action scene in there with the fight, and he opens up the guitar case, and there's all the weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
So I spent, probably 2 weeks drawing like 30 panels, real detailed, and like colored it with markers, and I was pretty proud of it. So I got the nerve up to go to the agency to show them, hey, I'm a storyboard artist too, I think. What do you think? And I handed her my drawings, and she looks at it. She didn't even look at all of them. She's like, "Oh, this is good, but no one will ever hire you." Like, oh, wow, okay. But I had the nerve to at least say, "Well, what? How come? Why? Can you tell me why?" And she's like, "Well, because it looks like you took forever, and with storyboarding and advertising, at least, or film, you got to be fast. You just got to get the idea across." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." She's like, "Here, take this script," and she handed me some like old Visa scripts, and she goes, "Loosen up, just do black and white, and bring them back." So I took them home, forced myself to do it as fast as I could, really rough. And like a couple hours later, and then like the next day, I went back and I showed them like, okay, this is more like it. Let's see what we can do. We'll send you on a few jobs, and then we'll see what happens. So
Huh.
great. And so I've been doing this since November of '97. Now it's been a while.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, it's been cool.
That's awesome, dude.
One of the jobs they sent me to, I'm just going to backtrack to what we were talking about earlier
Sure.
about drawing evil stuff. Is I was actually at Disney, and we were doing a commercial, and it was for one of the parades, and they had all the kids and all the family and all the floats, a lot of a lot of pencil sharpening that day, drawing all these people, and it was supposed to be like a 2 or 3 day job, but I think after the first day they released me because I drew everything pretty well enough, but they weren't happy with the way the kids looked. The kids look like Family Circus on crack. It's like,
Nice.
and my buddy Ray, who now works for Disney full time, he's so good, super talented. We're gonna have Ray finish the job for you. And like, all right, I totally understand. Ray's the man. But yeah, everybody looked like they were all cranked down on speed. So
Nice.
so I had to practice. I just draw too many lines in their faces and stuff. Probably too many zombies in my day. But yeah, that was one of the jobs I'll never forget.
Nice. So that's what planted you down into Austin?
Well, after I got established, my wife had a bar. I was actually passing out flyers for a band I was in. It was going to be our first show, and I saw her in the bar.
Which
And I
band?
just
Rockhead?
no, no, that was a Detroit band. This band was called the Onlys, and I think the singer Devin Lovelace, he got the name from a Star Trek episode. So he was a big Trekkie, and it was kind of more like it was a three piece, more like a Social D inspired outfit.
Okay.
So I got her number. We hit it off. We got married. We had twins. Twins are going to be 21 in a few months. But we
Nice.
had a house in Whittier, and it was a small house, like 1,100 square feet. Because my goal then was to find a house that I could afford. It had to be under $300,000, and we found one finally, and it was great. But then when we had the kids, it got twice as small, twice as fast.
Of course. You
And
outgrew that shit quick. Yeah.
yeah, and I was commuting at the time. When I was going to the agencies, they'd be like maybe 10 miles away, but it would take me 2 hours to get there because of traffic in LA. So we had gotten our fill of that. It's like 2 hours a day is equivalent to like a month of driving a year just wasted. So she goes, I got a family. My sister lives in Austin area. Let's go check it out. So she took me out to Austin. We did a South by Southwest. That was my first one. I think that was like in '98, maybe '99. And it's like, wow, it's the first time I've ever been in Texas. When I thought of Texas, I grew up, liking the Cowboys, as a kid, but I never thought I'd live in Texas. Yeah, I thought, cowboy hats, cowboy boots, it's not
Yeah.
my thing.
Yeah. I think the same thing. Sure.
But I was blown away. It was really nice. And the people here are super friendly, so friendly. It's
Yeah.
almost unbelievable. But so we had the kids. Let's go. We moved out, and then we sold our house like 2 years to the day that we bought it because if we didn't wait 2 years, we would have been tax penalties would have been heavy,
Right.
and we were able to make a profit and got like 4 times the size of house here in Texas that we had in California, and then still had some money to buy furniture for it. It was great, and
Awesome.
yeah, we've been here since '05.
Awesome. I went down to, I don't know how often, I don't think you're on Facebook very often, but I do this whole urban exploration film location thing.
I have seen that.
Yeah, dude. So like,
That's cool.
it's so much for like I give props to I mean, I thank Danny Boy from House of Pain because he's the one that started all of it. By accident, he found, long story really short, he was on tour with La Coca Nostra after House of Pain broke up. They were in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They were about to play Kane's Ballroom. Danny was bored. He's like, what the hell did I do around here? It popped in his head that the movie The Outsiders was filmed in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So he went to the house. He got a cab driver and can you bring me there? And he took a quick picture in front of the house. It's in North Tulsa. It's right on the corner. And there was a for sale sign. And over like the next like 2 years or something, he wound up buying the house for like next to nothing. And he's such a humble, great guy. But he was like, you know what? Maybe I could use like my little bit of House of Pain celebrity a little bit. And he asked for help. And because he opened the door and it was destroyed. It was like it was bad shape. And next thing you know, it's like S.E. Hinton, the author of the book, is donating. Ralph Macchio is there. All these people are there, and he converted the house into the Outsiders House Museum. And he put a house across the street, and it's an Airbnb. He calls it the Greaser Hideout. I've been there a couple of times. So he was like, wow, this is kind of cool. It kind of gives me, it was like a self-satisfying thing, I guess I could say, where it's like, wow, like I'm standing in front of this house that I grew up as a little kid watching. One of my favorite movies as a little kid. And I'm right in front of the house where Pony Boy and Soda Pop and everybody lives. And the Rumble happens like 2 blocks away and all this shit. And it's like this small little area. And a lot of people don't even realize what has happened in their neighborhood, down their block, on their street. Like people don't know. So it kind of gave him a good feeling. And he started doing this, going to film locations. It was the first time ever that he actually flew a drone over the pool from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Like it's stuff like that. Like you can't go back there, but he's like, I got to see it. I want to see if it's changed or whatever. It's still there and all that. So he started this thing. So it's called the Delta Bravo Urban Exploration Team because Danny Boy is DB Delta Bravo. So there's a bunch of us that do this stuff. So, there's a lot of people, but a handful of us like go out and like, bro, I'm buying plane tickets. I'm renting cars. I'm getting hotel rooms. So like 3 years ago, I've been to 30 out of the 50 states so far, but I want to do all 50 eventually, Alaska and Hawaii included. But like 3 summers ago, me and my ex-girlfriend, we flew down one way from here down to Austin.
Okay.
Yeah, and we hit, I don't know, like 35 different spots all over Texas, from Austin to Bastrop to Wimberley, Round Rock, Waco. I was on the Branch Davidian compound, dude. It was crazy. But we stayed at the gas station, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre gas station down at Bastrop. In the back, they have the cabins, bro. It was crazy, like shit like that. I went to. What was cool is like a lot of people, some people know, some people don't, but the original house from the movie is now a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
But what they did, they took it from a different town and they chopped it up into like 7 different pieces and they brought it to where it is now and they put it back meticulously. I'm talking the fucking the window moldings on the inside and everything is just like that. So I went there to do all my pictures and I superimpose like my screenshot from the movie into the pictures that I take. So we go there and they're closed. I'm like, oh shit, man, right? Nah, so I'm outside and I'm taking the picture like when Leatherface grabs Pam and her shoes fly off and drags her back in. So I get that and I get all these other things. But then I hear a couple of people off to the side talking. So now the house is exactly the same except for they built on a bar next to it. It's just an extension. It didn't ruin the house, just an extension. So with a patio. So I go back there and it's a couple of guys drinking a couple of beers, smoking cigarettes. They're off of work and they're just hanging out after work. So me being me, I don't care. I'll talk to anybody. So I go over. I'm like, hey, what's up? I introduce myself and I show them what I'm doing. As I'm talking to them, it's a husband and a wife that own the place. They come out and I show them. They're like, oh, let's go. Let's just take a walk in. So now there's no one in there, which is beautiful because there's no people in my way in order to take my pictures.
Wow.
So what was crazy, it was probably probably one of the top 3 highlights of being at certain locations where I can't believe I'm actually here type shit, where like my hair stands up on my fucking arms. So we go in through the bar area and the first time I'm actually in the actual house itself wasn't even through the front door. We walk in with I walk in with the guy, the husband. He's standing right next to me to my left, and we walk into the house, and I just look at where I'm standing, and I'm just like, no fucking way. And I look at him, and I'm like, dude, am I standing where I think I'm standing? He starts laughing. He's like, yeah, I was actually standing exactly where you see Leatherface for the first time raise his mallet and crack the guy and then drag him in. That's the entrance way that I walked into. And I'm just like, the staircase, the hallway, the room with the friggin' with the bird cage with the chicken in it and all that stuff. And he's like, yeah, this happened here. So bro, I was in there for like 45 minutes. He's like, yeah, just walk around. Free run, just like taking all my pictures where the whole dinner scene where Sally's all tied up for hours and that. Incredible shit, dude. So Austin, like not Forrest Gump. What's Eating Gilbert Grape is right outside of Austin where the tower is with DiCaprio, that old movie. That's right over there. There's a whole bunch of the scenes from Machete with Danny Trejo in Austin that I did. It's a whole bunch of shit, but I love doing that stuff. So yeah, so that's cool. that's my Austin and Texas story. I mean, of course I had to do like the touristy stuff, like I went to Dealey Plaza and I had to go to the Grassy Knoll, but I was on the Branch Davidian compound bullshitting with who is for all intents and purposes, David Koresh's replacement pastor. I'm standing there like 7 o'clock in the morning on a Monday with a cup of coffee in my hand, like talking to a guy in a wheelchair with one leg and blind in one eye, like a fucking horror movie. And I'm talking with this guy, and I'm like, how the hell am I here right now? Right. You know what I mean? It's crazy. So historical stuff like that, but it always seems to be like morbid shit where someone was killed, whether it's in real life or in a movie or something. Yeah. It's always something like that.
It's intriguing.
So, yeah, man. So I don't have a spot in Michigan yet. So I need some shit in Detroit. There's got to be something in Detroit, even if it's like a Cold as Life or a Hate Incorporated like promo shot where I could find where it is. But it could be anything. It doesn't have to be a horror movie, but but preferably like something true crime or horror, or movie related. But yeah, I'm not opposed to. There's no rules when it comes to this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It could be a couple of people in a cemetery. I go fucking galloping around cemeteries all the time. People think I'm insane, but I don't care.
That's cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, but I know one of the funnest times that I've had with Cold as Life. This is the earlier reincarnation. Like, we were playing a show in Baltimore, and we hopped over. We went to the Exorcist house. Yeah. That was a lot of fun, going up and down those stairs and walking down that street, knocking on the door. That was a thrill for me. It was so cool.
Me too. But, I've been there a couple of times, and every time I go there, it's still awesome.
Yeah.
Top 3 in my book as far as horror movies, easily.
Yup, same.
Yeah. So go on. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Oh, is that?
Oh no. Well, it was just we were hoping that we could get in the hospital. Like, no,
people live there, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yep. We could be making money giving tours here. It'd be so cool.
Yeah, I mean, like the house in, I think it's like in Chicago. I think it's the Christmas Story house. They do it. You know what I mean? It's like a museum. Danny Boy does it with the Outsiders house. Danny Boy makes a killing out there. It's insane. People pass by, bands, whoever plays Kane's Ballroom. That's like right in the middle. So it's like there's so many people in and out of there. It's awesome. Yeah, it's so much fun, dude.
It's like I got a kick going to Graceland, just going to Elvis's house. That was a trip. You don't even have to be a huge fan, but to actually be in his house and see stuff is like unbelievable.
Yep, I've been there too. I believe that was the same road trip because we went to Austin, all over Texas, and then we drove. I rented like an SUV in Austin, and then we drove all the way up, a whole bunch of different shit up into Oklahoma, and then we went across. And we stayed in at Graceland, like the big hotel, whatever it was called, Graceland, whatever it is. But I got like the big deluxe package and everything. And I was like, yeah, Elvis is cool. Like, I'm cool with Elvis. But then, dude, after the house and then the museums that are there, when I saw the entire wall of all of his jumpsuits and shit and all that stuff, dude, I walked out of there like I knew that Elvis was the man. But I didn't know he was the man like that. And I became more of a fan of Elvis after going to Graceland. 100%. Yeah, dude. Yep.
And then going to Sun Studios and seeing where they recorded.
Yeah.
And they're letting you talking in the microphone and sit at the desk, and that's wild.
It's crazy. The history of that stuff
Yeah.
is insane.
Yep.
Yeah. It was the same trip where it's like 3 o'clock in the morning and we're in Hendricksonville, Tennessee, and we're running around a cemetery by cell phone flashlight looking for Johnny Cash's grave. And we found it. Yeah, next
That's
to June
cool.
Carter. It's like, what are we doing right now? It's 3 in the morning. We're running around a cemetery in the middle of nowhere, but we found it. We had to.
That's
It was like a
cool.
bucket list spot, man. You got to find Johnny Cash's grave.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I love doing that. So I need Detroit spots or the surrounding areas, something.
Yeah. I'll start giving some thought, and I'll come up with a to-do list for you.
That's awesome. There's got to be some kind of horror movies or some sick bastard serial killer that ripped through there before.
Yeah.
Had to have been.
Yeah. Nothing's jumping out at me right now, but I
There's
keep
got-
thinking RoboCop for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah, yeah. Send me a little to-do list.
All right. Yeah,
Nice.
for sure.
Yeah. So, real quick, I know you probably heard it a million times, but I need to ask you one question. Do you have any Rawn Beauty stories?
Oh, sure. I don't know if I've told any ones that you haven't already heard though. Yeah, he's just a wild man, really. He was a pretty intense dude. Not a real happy dude. I remember the one story that I found bizarre was we were jamming and we went out to play some party. It was out for me. I thought it was in the middle of nowhere. It seemed kind of like out in the woods.
Because you were in the band at the early stages, right after the Mattress Rats, correct?
Yeah, it was pretty early. And then we were playing shows, and we would play the haunts like Lonnie's and stuff, and Todd's. And for this particular show, I think somebody knew somebody was throwing a big kegger, big bash. So we hopped in Jay Way's van, and it seemed like we drove for an hour and a half, 2 hours. But I remember listening to Biohazard, the debut album, over and over and over again.
So
We were
fucking
really stoked on that. That was a big inspiration for us.
shit.
And we got there, and there was a ton of people there. It was cool. But lo and behold, Ron's brother was there. And I didn't even know he had a brother. And for some reason, Ron was real uncomfortable because he was there. And it was kind of like, it was a kind of like dampen the mood. And I was just assuming that they didn't get along so well, but nothing happened. But that was just one of the things that I remember. Besides being stuck in the mud, a big storm came in and it rained, and our wheels were like half buried in mud, and we were like the last to leave. We were stuck there forever, and the mosquitoes were huge. Eventually, some guy came by with a 4x4, and he drug us out of the mud. And he was my hero because I thought we were never going to get out of there. But that was one day. It was kind of a not your typical Ron story, but he was an emotional guy. I
Yeah.
think he was frustrated. I didn't know him as well as some of the other guys, of course, because like Jeff and Roy, they live with him. But he was a loose cannon. I didn't not necessarily kept my distance, but I never let my guard down because
Right.
he was unpredictable.
Okay.
He had a tendency to get hammered, to get violent. He was one of those guys that if you're throwing a party, he showed up, you're like, oh fuck, this
Yeah.
is gonna go south. And he would I think he just loved to fight. I think he loved to fight because he's angry.
Yeah.
And but he would joke around. I'd be catching him the next day and be joking around, cracking jokes. He's a pretty funny guy. But yeah, like I said, I just never let my guard down. I was just cautious.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he he got popped. He I guess fell asleep. The only way the guy, the whole story.
Yeah.
He got took out, and it's a shame. But
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. If
for people that don't know, he fell asleep and somebody shot him while he was sleeping.
Right, his roommate, which is weird because his name was Rich, and I remember we were playing a show at St. Andrews Hall, and the St. Andrews Hall is probably like our Lemore's historical.
Okay.
Lots of big bands come play there. Like even bands like Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, the bigger bands. And we were playing a show, Coldest Life, Bad Religion was on the bill. They were headlining, of course. And I think Pitbull played too. I
Nice.
have a flyer. It was one of my first flyers that I drew for him. And while we're up on stage, this rich guy was dealing on my girlfriend, who I'd been dating for like probably 3 or 4 years at that point. And she told me the next day that he went up to her work and was kind of like stalking her a little bit. I'm like, what the fuck was up with this guy? And then before that, though, we were already in the studio recording our demo, and he was there, and he was, he's a charismatic guy. I remember him. He wanted to be like a Goodfellas. He was big into the movie Goodfellas. He wanted to be a gangster, but he was funny. No one really took him serious. He was reciting lines from the movie, and he was entertaining. And then the show happened, and I kind of changed my tune. I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, he's living with Ron, and you find out that he's the one that shot him. And if I'm correct, he called the police. He kind of complained that, yeah, my roommate's dead. I don't know what happened. And then once they got him into the station, he confessed to doing it. And then they locked him up. And I think his grandparents mortgaged their home so they could pay for his bail. And all of a sudden, he's gone. He's missing. And I heard he went down to Florida or something. Now, I could be wrong,
Yeah.
but that's what I heard.
But he's never been caught again.
No,
That's
no,
crazy.
no. It's unbelievable. I mean, with social media and
it's unbelievable at this point in 2024 that he still has not been caught.
yeah,
That's baffling. Before
yeah,
we know, he could be dead.
yeah. It's probably more likely.
Yeah, yeah. I would lean towards he's probably dead than being that slick.
Yeah, but he still has relatives in the Detroit area that I'm told.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
that's fucking
I
crazy.
don't know what's going on. But
Crazy.
yeah, it's unfortunate because, I guess Ron wasn't an important enough person for the police to bring him justice. I hate to say that, but what else? What
Yeah,
other reason could there be?
true. Maybe they knew that he was kind of like a loose cannon. He was like, whatever. Like, but that's fucked up regardless.
Yeah,
The
he's a
guy murdered. The
father.
guy got murdered. Regardless of, there's no statute of limitations on that. They should
Right.
fucking get this guy. Regardless,
Yep. He had a newborn, a young daughter.
even more so.
Yeah, starting a family.
Jesus
It's,
Christ.
it's crazy.
Yeah, crazy shit, man. Fuck. So, all right, I'll lighten the mood. So Jesus. So what's in store? What do you want? Do you have anything you need to promote? You want to talk about anything else as far as, I don't know, you want to get into Rockhead days? I don't know. I don't know why Rockhead is popping in my head.
Uh, Rocket was fun. It was the band after Full Circle. The reason Full Circle kind of ended was we'd show up for practice and I don't know. I guess I'm an asshole because you want to be in a band, you want to see if you could hit the road eventually, kind of tour around, record and go out and live life and the adventure. And
Sure.
not everybody had the same motivation. So I think at the time the singer, he wasn't really, he loved hanging out with us. He's a good guy, but I just wanted to raise the bar a little bit and just trying to get more accomplished. And so it wasn't going anywhere. So I quit. And then that kind of made the band dissolve because I was pretty much the one that was keeping it going, maybe. And we reformed with the other guys, pretty much everybody except the drummer or the singer. And we call it Rockhead. And not to be an egomaniac, but I tried singing and playing bass, which is a big mistake because when I talk, I'm already hard to understand because of my Midwest accent. When I sing and I scream, it's even worse because I talk really fast
Right.
and nobody can understand what I'm saying. It's like that after school special where they had the kid. I don't know if it was on at night. I remember watching it as a young kid, and they couldn't understand the kid. He was just blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what's wrong with this kid? We can't figure it out. So finally, they took a recording of him and they took it to a studio and they figured out he was just talking really fast. They just slowed it down so they could understand him. That's how I was on stage. But it was fun to play. I mean, I'm telling you, I love like crumb suckers and crossover stuff. So that's kind of like the direction we were trying to do. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, you got to know when to say when. I just wasn't able to cut it.
Right.
And that's pretty much when I joined Cole's Life after that. I went from Rockhead to Cole's Life.
Full Circle, Rockhead, Cold as Life.
Yeah.
Where's
Yep.
Ricochet? That's after Cold as Life.
Oh, Ricochet came about because Cole's Life was too wild for me. It was the Wild Wild West.
I can only imagine, dude. That's why I'm
Yeah, man,
trying for someone to do that documentary as well as it could possibly be done. Fucking incredible.
for sure. And I probably compounded it because my sister, who's like 14 months older than me, went into law enforcement, and she became a cadet. And this is like she's starting her police career, and she's always been, looking out for me, and kind of like you better, watch what you're doing, kind of like always in my ear. And I didn't want to deal with that, and then be in the wrong spot at the wrong time with Cold Life guys. I
Yeah.
love them, but man, I couldn't keep up with some of the activity. It's like, okay, I'm gonna bail because we were having a hard time booking shows, and like the first band, I wanted to continue to play. I wanted people to come out and watch us play. And although I love practicing, I wanted, an audience more or less. I got tired of playing in the basement,
Yeah.
and we were having a hard time getting shows, so I bailed before things got crazy, and that was after the recording and everything. And I met up with Dave Melconian. He's a drummer in Ricochet, and he's like, "Hey, we're starting a project. Come on board." And we did, and it was it happened fast. We did a demo, and it sounded like, "Hey, it's a pretty good demo. Actually recorded well. This is pretty good." And then we were able to go to Buffalo with Pitbull. They took us under their wing, and we played some shows, and people were digging it, and they were buying demos. And I'm not gonna lie, we even printed up shirts for our first show at Blondie's, and people
Why
bought
not?
them.
Why
I
not,
think
man? You're excited for that shit.
yeah,
Yeah, you
I
do
think
that.
Beast bought a shirt even.
Nice.
And that was cool. And we got to play, and we did some touring, and that's everything I wanted to do. And then that was like the early '90s. We did some record releases. Got on a Only the Strong, Victory Records comp, the second one,
Yeah.
which was super cool. It was a picture disc. There's a picture of me. The worst track on the whole album. I'm not gonna lie. The recording sucks. It sounds so paper thin. But still, we were on the poster. And
Yeah.
then I ended up the band kind of slowed down, members shifted, typical band business.
Yeah.
And then that's when I got the bug to move to California. And then when I moved to California, I was living in Berkeley, and I was driving around trying to find a place to live. I didn't have any contacts out there. That's the back in the day of the beeper.
Sure.
And I went to the campus, Cal Berkeley. I figured, hey, there's some students here. There's got to be some dorms or something. People that need roommates. And I found a houseboy ad, and I'm like, oh, what's that? A houseboy? What's a houseboy? So I call it, and it was like basically a indentured servant living in a sorority house. You got room and board, and you made sure the doors were locked at night, and the cereal was out in the morning. Real simple stuff. And they give you a free place to stay. I'm like, that's me. I'm in. So I got in there. I was like, 25 years old, living with, these college girls, and they were the boring, real, smart, studying all day, all night college girls. So there's no, I chased a couple frat
Boring
guys out of
ones.
there. Yeah.
They're
There's
the
one guy
boring
stripped his
ones.
clothes off and jumped on top of the baby grand piano, and I kicked him out. They thought I was a hero. But I would commute to San Francisco, and we did some bands there. I met some cool guys that are from DC area, and we formed a band called Worker, and that was a lot of fun. Played some shows. It's more like like a DC band, like Scream.
Okay.
And I forgot what I was going to go with that, but so I was living in the house for a while and busting tables, and eventually became a bartender, and then I ended up moving back down to L.A.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Nice.
it was a trip.
Yeah.
But
LA
yeah, the first thing I did when I moved to California was I bought like a '66 Impala with very little money, and that I had, and I spent like $1,000 on a CD like stereo system where you could put 10 CDs. That was
Oh,
like, whoa,
sick.
state of the art.
Yeah,
So I
man.
remember cruising down the one, and listening to like Orange 9mm over and over and over again. Driver not included. I think that's an album. It's really good.
Yeah.
But that was fun.
Yeah, man. Fucking Orange Nine. They recently played their first show in God knows how long at the New York Tattoo Convention that Cuz Joe put together.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah,
cool.
man. It was like what? It was like the first night was a couple bands in Orange Nine. Second night was I don't remember exactly. It was like Earth Crisis and Integrity or something. It was on the roof of Terminal 5, which was
Oh, that's cool.
it was awesome just to play on the rooftop. It's just cool shit.
I caught them in LA. I saw them at the Whiskey, and Power Man 5000 opened up. But Matt Cross, who used to play drums for him, He's a Detroit guy. He used to be in a band called Just Cause, and he was a local guy. He moved to New York. We're like, wow, this guy can do it. We can do it too.
Yeah,
So that was really cool
yeah,
seeing him.
yeah, man. Fucking cool shit, man. Orange Nine, another band that's not spoken about enough. Shout out to
Yeah,
Shaka.
they had
Yeah,
their own sound for sure.
yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely unique. And you mentioned like San Francisco and LA. That was my last big road trip that I went on. It was just me and my daughter. I flew one way from here to San Francisco. I rented like a small SUV. We did a whole bunch of shit, like bunch of different movie stuff, kind of more obscure stuff like that movie Pacific Heights.
I love that movie. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
cool.
that the house where Michael Keaton lived, where Matthew Modine lives, is there. Um, I did a bunch of Manson stuff with the old apartment that he lived on Cole Street. I did. We went down. We did the whole Alcatraz thing. I have a couple of rocks
That's
from the
cool.
fucking yard at Alcatraz, which is just cool as shit. I did a bunch
Yeah.
of Escape from Alcatraz stuff from there. Then we went down. We drove down the Pacific Coast Highway. Um, Another movie. It was on the way. I hit a spot from the Clint Eastwood movie, Play Misty for Me. That did a couple of spots from there. We stayed like 4 days in Santa Cruz. I did a whole bunch of Lost Boys stuff, which
Oh, cool.
that whole boardwalk is basically the same as in the Lost Boys. I was just like, it's like you're in the movie, dude. It's like it's the set of the movie. It's just cool as shit.
That
Then
is
we went
cool.
down into LA and we had a field day in LA. I went to Chatsworth and I was running around Spawn Ranch, which was like insane to me too. Like the wave cave, like that famous picture of them underneath that weird small long cave. Like
Hmm.
I took, like my daughter took a picture of me inside the cave. Like I have a chip of rock from it because it's Spawn Ranch. But like running around there, did a whole bunch of stuff in LA. Like I can't even mention everything from stuff that my daughter wanted to hit, like Pretty Woman, to the fucking Wonderland Avenue murders. Stuff
Wow.
like that. Yeah, did all that kind of stuff. And then we drove through, stopped off and saw singer for Northside Kings, Danny Marinino, stopped in Scottsdale, Arizona. And he actually showed me a really cool spot. It was from the first Sacred Reich album, and they're underneath this overpass. He's like, that's right here. And I went there. It's this big, beautiful skate park, but it's still the same. It's just cleaned up. So he got me that spot. Drove all the way across Arizona into Albuquerque. I did a whole bunch of Breaking Bad shit. And then from Albuquerque, drove all the way up to Tulsa, Oklahoma, saw Danny, did some Oklahoma stuff, and then flew out like 2-3 days later out of Oklahoma City. Yeah, found some obscure stuff
Wow.
like the gas station. Remember that movie? You see the movie Splinter with the crazy friggin' alien thing, and they're all in a gas station for the whole movie. It's a pretty good movie. If you might have seen it.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, but the gas station is abandoned and it's still there. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, something different in Oklahoma City, because I did like that last trip like 3 years ago. We stopped in Oklahoma City. I did the Murrah building, the whole Oklahoma City bombing thing. But that was like really all I got. But I was like, all right, cool horror movie the last time, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, man, traveling and seeing all this shit, and that's. I'm sorry, I've got going on because you mentioned
That's cool.
LA and then you mentioned San Francisco, so all this stuff just pops in my head.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, man. So I try to get out of New York City as much as I possibly can, as much as I can. I don't have anything like set really planned yet until the winter breaks. Like in the beginning of January, shout out to Mike Valenti from Brick by Brick
Hey, Mike.
because he asked me, which I was kind of taken back, and I was like, absolutely. He asked me to be a judge for the Extreme Music Awards that he's doing
Very
up in
cool.
Albany. That's January 10th, 11th, and 12th. So I'm going to go up there. And then after that, it's like there's one. I have everything marked off on my map of the United States, and I have the whole from California. The whole underneath, the whole bottom is all done, except for Maine. And it's just that one little tippy top thing that bothers me. So that might be like my next road trip before next summer, which I'm probably going to Europe with my daughter. Never been to Europe, so I'll
Oh,
go
cool.
there. Yeah, man, hit up all kinds of different stuff. I want to walk the beaches at Normandy, stuff like that, like all the beaches there. And then I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I know that my last spot, I'm going to go furthest in, probably to Poland, because I'm probably going to wind up doing the Auschwitz tour, because I feel like it's got to be like the most insane, humbling, craziest, like heaviest places you can go on the planet. But
Hmm.
get like that sad, miserable stuff over with first and then go to like Italy. I want to hit up a few spots. There's a few things my daughter wants to do, but my last stop is going to be in Ireland. There's a place called the Trim Castle. It's like this medieval ruins, and I don't know the last time that you saw Braveheart, but in Braveheart where they have the big battering ram that's on fire and they're wheeling it into a castle wall, that's the Trim Castle with an extension that they built on it. So
Okay.
I want to go there and get some Braveheart shit in Ireland. And plus there's a place called the Trim Hotel, which is right next to it. I just think it'd be cool to get like a top floor, and like in the morning you open up the curtains and there's a fucking medieval fucking castle ruins outside. You know, I think it's awesome. So that's tentatively next summer's Delta Bravo / vacation mission with my daughter. Why not?
How old is your daughter?
15.
Cool. She's down for all this traveling?
She's down, dude. This last trip, it was a 16-day road trip the last time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, it's so fucking cool, man. There was one time, the only time she didn't complain, not once. She was in. We were like two children laughing and just being stupid for hours and hours and hours. But the ride from Albuquerque up to Tulsa without stops was like 13 hours.
Wow.
So yeah, but I didn't make it like we need to get there. It's like you need to use the bathroom. I live on coffee. So it's like every single gas station that I see, I'm getting gas, because there was like 3 hours where there was nothing. Good thing I got like a full tank of gas, you know? So every gas station we'll stop at. We're hungry, we'll stop at the next spot. You need to go to the bathroom, next spot, no problem. Take our time. So it's about 16 and a half hours total, that drive. And about 9 hours in, she looked at me, and this was towards the end of the trip. This was like day like 13 or 12 or something. She was like, it's like, Dad, this one's a long one. I was like, what's the matter? You're not looking forward to like next summer to do this all over again? And she was like, I don't know. And then next thing you know, when we fly back from Oklahoma City, we land in LaGuardia Airport. I jump in an Uber to go get my car, and we're in bumper to bumper traffic on the BQE. And it's just, everything is dirty and everything is just miserable. And she looked at me, she goes, you know what, Dad? I can't wait for next year. I would rather drive 16 hours and be a little bit bored than be in this. I was like, now you understand why I do this stuff, to get out of here and just see new things. Listen, not every single place that I've been was awesome. You know what I mean? But I checked it off my list. Cool. It's a pass-through state. I got my little pictures and we're out. You know what I mean? She wasn't a fan of Albuquerque. I necessarily wasn't either. But I got like all kinds of crazy Breaking Bad spots. So, but will I ever go back to New Mexico? Probably not. There's no reason for me to be there. But I did it, and it was cool. It's an experience that my daughter, I just try to make memories with my daughter, you know what I mean?
That's cool.
And she's in. She looks up stuff herself. She's like, where was this? Can we go Delta Bravo this? Like, where is this that? And she asks me, and she sends me stuff, and I try to look at it, I'm like, that's in Canada. She's like, that sucks. I want to go back. You know, so she's into this stuff too, which is cool because she thanks, like, she gave me this awesome Father's Day card. And she doesn't tell me these things a lot because she's a teenager and she's too cool for school. You get it. But there's certain times where like she'll get like choked up and she'll thank me. She's like, you know, it's really awesome. Like you do things with me that the average kid doesn't get to see. They don't really do. She's like, you're into weird stuff, but it's awesome. And it's not like the average person goes and does these things. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's like, you know, I tried to get into the house where Burt Reynolds lived in Boogie Nights.
Oh.
You know, the Jack Horner house, but someone lives there, you know, but she was like, I want to get in there. That's like a bucket list spot for my daughter. It's like, I want to go into Jack Horner's house to see the pool in the backyard. Like, so we never got it, but she's like, I want to go back to California because we need to get that. She's like adamant about it, which is awesome. I'm like, yo, I will go back there. No problem. I gave her the choice. I'm like, you want to go to Europe, or what we could do, we could go back to California for like 4 or 5 days, because we both say we probably wanted like 2 or 3 more days in LA before we left. But just timing. So we could go back to LA for like 4 or 5 days, and from there we can hop out of LAX and go to Hawaii for a week if you want to do that. She's like, no, I want to go see Jim Morrison's grave in France. So I was like, all right, then we'll go to Europe.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Man.
She sounds like a cool girl.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Man. Thank God. She's a good kid. She's cool as shit. She's hilarious. She tells me all about myself. She has no filter. But it's awesome. She's a really good kid. She does well in school. She gets everything she wants. She's spoiled, but she's not a brat. So it's good, man. I'm super, super, super grateful. Big
Good
time.
deal.
Yeah, man. So
Um,
you have homework to do. You have to find some shit for me in Detroit for when I come up to go see.
yeah, I'll start asking around for sure.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Sounds like a plan, brother. And
Well, Enzo could probably hook you up, find the M&M 8 Mile locations. I think his
absolutely. Shout
brother
out to the
Jake was in
Dufour
the
brothers
movie.
and Dogs of War,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Good dudes. I had them on way back. I had them both on way back. Yeah.
Hmm.
Maybe I have to do a little round two with them.
Where are they now? Yeah.
Yeah, where are they now? How the hell are you? Yeah, man. Yeah, but I'm gonna wind up having after I'm done recording, I'll talk to you about something. But yeah, do you want to like promote like I don't know social medias if somebody wants a commissioned piece of art? I mean, I don't know how busy you are or whatever. If
Oh, yeah, just hit me up on Facebook or Instagram. Yeah, people hit me up once in a while. I usually, I'm available.
yeah,
I work around. I've decided to, for one last attempt, get back into tattooing. So I'm at a shop now doing
nice.
some apprenticeship. It's called Faces in the Dark. It's here in Kyle, but the artists there are super amazing. The owners are Ty and Becca Harris,
Okay.
and Ty is really well renowned black and gray artist. He's super talented, and I feel like they really want me to succeed. And they're, a lot of times, tattoo artists are kind of reluctant to share their secrets and stuff like that.
Yep.
But I don't think this is the case. And I think I'm going to learn, and I'm optimistic. I mean,
Awesome.
it's a different medium. I mean,
It is.
people were like, "Oh, you can paint, right?" Well, I might not
Yeah.
be able to airbrush and pinstripe, but I could paint. So it's you got to respect the medium, and I'm learning it slowly but
Yeah.
surely.
Yeah, I know because one of my one of my best friends, he's like my brother. He does all my work and shit. And one thing that annoys him, it's like, oh, you could draw. That means you could tattoo. Not necessarily.
No,
It's not necessarily like no.
no, so many variables.
Of
Yeah.
course, of course. It's not the same. It's art,
Mhm.
but it's nowhere near the same. The medium is completely different. We have a machine, skin.
Yeah. No
Yeah,
skins alike, you know?
yeah, no skins alike. Of course not. So yeah, that's awesome, man. Fucking good luck to you with that, bro.
Thank you.
Of course. So you're at Craig Holloway Art on Instagram or just Craig Holloway on Facebook, and people
Yeah,
can
I
touch
think
you.
so. Yep, yep.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool, man. Well, before I forget, I need to shout out the sponsor of the podcast, which is Generation Records, located at 210 Thompson Street here in the West Village of New York City. Best dudes ever. Shout out to Marc and Ron and everybody there. They've been around since like 1992. They're still there. Awesome. There's actually this coming Sunday, there's an event. Roger Moret will be there. He's doing a book signing for his new book, With Time. There's always stuff going on there. Danny Marinino had a book signing there. There's always something going on. Dan Lilka just had a book signing there and a whole Q&A and everything. So there's always something really cool going on at Generation Records. And follow them on Instagram at Generation Records. And I think they have like a big cartel. It's like generations.com/big cartel, whatever it is. If you don't live in the New York City area, if you want to buy stuff. Like Marc will put up some like crazy rare stuff because he buys collections and stuff like that. So there's some shit on there that sometimes like first press 7-inch United Blood. It's like, dude, like there's so many. Every once in a while he'll put up a gem and it's like, I don't know how the hell he gets them or whatever, but he gets some rare, awesome shit.
I just bought through Revelation Records, Generation Records put out Leeway Enforcer EP,
Yep.
like a 5 song 12 inch. That's in the mail. It should be here any day.
So it's the
Before
the 12-inch.
hmm
Yep, I got it too. Yep,
did you already get it or did you order it?
I just got it. I just got it 2 days
Oh,
ago.
cool. Oh,
Yep,
cool.
got that. They put out the live at CBGB's. They did a Born to Expire. They do a whole bunch of really good. They did a really awesome repress of Sheer Terror. Just can't hate enough.
Really? That's cool.
Awesome. Yeah, man. Yeah, they do a lot of really cool stuff. It's like limited edition Generation Records exclusive pressings of shit.
Yep, 500 copies.
Yeah, man.
That's one place I would like to check out. That and
It's great.
Cortex.
It's great, dude. They have the whole downstairs. Downstairs, it's all posters and T-shirts like crazy, and super all 7 inches. It's an old school, awesome record store, man, and they do
awesome.
well. I mean, they're one of the only ones left on the block, and they're thriving. So
good.
Support those guys. Support independent record stores.
For sure.
100%.
Spend the whole day there.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Easy.
Yeah, easily. Just looking through shit, rare stuff. Like I said, a lot of. I mean, they don't have only hardcore stuff, but they have a lot of hardcore and punk rock and metal shit. Yeah, books, like all the books that came out, like Vinny Stigma's book, which everyone needs to get. The Most Interesting Man Alive. It's incredible. Shout out to
it's a good one
him again, and Howie Abrams, who's the best dude ever. But yeah, man, Generation Records is where it's at. If you're in New York City, support them.
for sure.
Yeah, Craig, this was awesome, my man. Yeah, I appreciate.
Cool, man.
I appreciate your time. I was like, I don't know what I'm really talking about. Call this life and some artwork, but next thing you know, we're going like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Good.
It goes like this. It's beautiful. Good shit,
Well,
man.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
100%. Well, this will be out in a couple of days. I send it off to my guy to put my little intro on it, but I'm gonna give it a few days. But trust me, you'll know exactly when it's out. I'll tag you and everything. I'll let you know like the early, like the day before that. I'll throw it out like the next day, just so you know, and whatever. I'm still working on your flyer, but I'll get that done over the next couple of days. But I'm like intimidated. Like I'm always super confident doing my flyers, but now I'm doing a flyer for you. It's like, how am I doing this guy's flyer when all you do is insane artwork?
That's cool. Well, there's maybe you'll inspire me. I'll try harder next time. It's good.
Yeah, I don't know. I use a super old version of Photoshop Elements, dude.
Older the better.
I don't
all
know.
these new bells and whistles, man.
Not all the time. Bro, my computer shit on me like a month ago. Like my whole motherboard went. This is an old ass computer, but I'm like, I need to get this computer up and running again because I can't get my old program. My old Photoshop program, I can't get it no more. And what Adobe did, it's like now it's like a subscription-based thing. I can't just get like the. It's like, yo, man.
Yeah.
This old shit that I paid like $80 for like 12 years ago that I'm still using. So I'll
still have the disk drive?
What?
Does it still have the disk drive?
On the side, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how Photoshop used to be on a disk.
Yeah.
Now it's all.
Well, yeah, it was a disc and it's installed. I don't even know where the disc is anymore. And they have like that 16-digit code on the back of it. I don't even know where that is, but it's installed in my computer. So whenever something happens with my computer and I bring it to my guy, I'm like, listen, I don't care what happens. I have everything backed up. But whatever you do, that Photoshop program needs to stay there. And he's like, right, dude. Like, I don't know why you're so adamant about this Photoshop program. It's like, because that's what I use, man. That's what I use
right.
Shit. So, yeah, man. So, like I said, this will be out in a few days, and yo, man, I can't thank you enough, bro. This was awesome. It was cool.
Well, thank you, man.
Speak to you. We met at This Is Hardcore several years back briefly. Met your wife, and we were bullshit. We took a quick.
Yeah.
But that was like the extent of I ever spoke to you. So this was awesome. This is why I like to do this shit.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, be safe. Everybody follow Craig Holloway on Instagram and hit him up for shit because his work is incredible.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you got it. Be safe, brother.
All right, take care.